Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. How we doing?
Good morning.
I hereby call this meeting of Lake Mary Toastmasters Club 6442 order. Before we begin, please silence your cell phones and hand off your little manuals if you haven't done so already. I would like to ask everyone to please stand for a moment of silence. The pledge of allegiance followed by a moment of silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Our club mission is to provide a supportive learning environment in which members feel empowered to become better public communicators. Public speakers, there we go. I'm getting all tongue twisted today. This thing is not working out for me, guys.
You know what you need?
What is it?
Toastmasters.
Oh yeah, that's great. It also does stuff for your leadership and basic communication skills, which I obviously haven't done today. But I hope you get sold on this meeting this evening, because please help me welcome Ernst. I'm done. Goodbye. Ernst, come up here.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters.
Good morning.
I almost said Rotarians. wrong meeting. And we have one guest.
Back again.
We are missing one person. I'm sorry to say. It's Tony as tabletop is master. He said he's looking for topics. That's the last thing I heard from him. He might get calm, you know, he's a little bit but everybody else we have here. Today's theme is kwanzaa. During the month of December, while most of us celebrate or is focused on Christmas, it is a Christian holiday. Because we are, after all, and we were founded here in the United States as a Christian society, yet there are many other holidays being celebrated through Christmas. Kwanzaa is one of them, and the theme today is Kwanzaa. Translated in the word is in Swahili means first fruit from the harvest. It is celebrated in December along with Christmas, Hanukkah, Ramadan. However, my focus today is strictly on Kwanzaa, which is celebrated between December 26th and January 1st. It is specifically an African-American holiday. Oh, we have one more person. It now gives me the pleasure to introduce our technical table, starting with grammarian. Hattie, please explain your role.
As grammarian, it's my function to select word of the day. So the word of the day today is communally. Each member, when called upon to speak, is encouraged to use the word of the day. Other members may gently rap on the table when they hear a member use the word. In addition, I'll be listening for errors in grammar, as well as excellent word selections, and noting any colorful thoughts or phrases members might use. And I'll submit my report at the end of the day during the evaluation portion of the meeting.
Thank you. Next in line is our timer, Macarena Torres.
Thank you. My function is to time the speakers, evaluators, and table topics participants to ensure they meet the timing requirements. I will demonstrate the timing lights, which will be displayed as follows. Green for speakers is 5 minutes. Yellow is 6 and red is 7 minutes. Table topics, the green is 30 seconds, yellow 45 seconds, and red is 1 minute. Evaluators, green 2 minutes, yellow 2.5 minutes, and red is 3 minutes. At the end of each meeting, I will report the timing results. Thank you.
Our calendar originally designed to, Dana Mitchell did not show up today. He said he's fishing. He's talking to the fish. It's easy. And I'd like to thank Mike Hughes for stepping in.
Thank you. Is my function listed for filler words? You know, so, okay, and, or, but.
Other audible pauses and fillers. I'll be noted if any member uses double clutches, such as this means, this means. Finally, I will include things which might be distracting, such as, hence why I did that. So, I will present my report at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Before I forget, I want to thank Sam Bailey who stepped in for Lori, who was sick, as the Sergeant of Arms. Our assigned table topics master, Tony, is not here. He is MIA. Could I ask Rich, please, to step in?
Yeah, sure, why not?
After the ones we got at the party, are you sure you want that?
I wasn't there, so
I'm gonna wing it.
Okay.
it now gives me the pleasure to introduce Krystal Strickland. It's her icebreaker. She says she believes because she could. Thank you, Krystal. Should I move this, or do you want this here?
Oh, no,
or-
we'll just set things here,
You
so.
leave it here. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So last week, soon after I signed up to do my toast, my icebreaker toast, is this a speech? I was going through the mail and my initials came out on this page. KS, Krystal Strickland. And of course I had to look a little more closely. And there's this little sign here that says, she believed she could, so she did. And I thought, wow, that really embodies my life principle, the guiding principle that has brought me through all these years so far. So I thought I would take an example from the earlier years on my first trip to Russia and how I got there to share exactly how this philosophy has brought me to where I am now. So soon after a life-changing year in France, I reluctantly came back to the United States to attend college. But the good thing about this college was that it had a Russian language class. And I'll tell you, within days, I was completely enamored with this language. The elegant script, the beautiful literature, the history, the geography of this country, I just had to get over there. I just had to meet these people. I had to learn how they survived all these political hardships in this harsh geographic climate. But how could I get there? I'm just a little girl from Alaska, no financial means, no connections. You won't believe what happened. Within a year, I had in my hands a letter of invitation, which was required to enter the country. I just had to write in my name, my passport number, and the next thing I knew, I was writing to a company in the Crimea to take on a teaching engagement. This is back in the early 90s, before the internet. So all my arrangements had to be made by snail mail. But I'll tell you, I had this courage, and I got on the airplane, and as I'm descending into Moscow, I'm thinking, I hope they received that last letter with the date and time of arrival. Will somebody be here to meet me? Do they know what city I'm landing in? Will the $200, my life savings in my pocket, will this be enough for the summer? How far is it to the Crimea anyway from Moscow? Fortunately, as I stepped outside of the airport, there was a beautiful young woman named Yelena who was there to meet me. She was a teacher at this new business that I was going to help. So we went on down to the Crimea. I had an amazing summer. The children, they learned so quickly, but the economy was falling apart. The Crimea chose to separate from Russia, and they handed over their Russian rubles and received coupons because Ukraine was not yet printing its own money. There was not enough food. My hair started falling out, my teeth were becoming loose. But I became fluent in Russian. I made lifelong friendships. I had the most amazing adventures, exploring the castles in this peninsula in the Black Sea and these ancient cities. And learning these Soviet landscapes where you have neighborhood after neighborhood of these 5-story concrete buildings all arranged identically. And how do you figure out which one is your apartment when they're all the same in this sea of apartments, right? It was just the most amazing summer I've ever had. And as the summer came to a close, I had another hurdle. I had to find a way to get back to Moscow, to find my plane ride back to the United States. My friends communicated with me by telegraph. Remember, most homes did not have telephones at this time in the Soviet Union. I soon learned that people were lined up in the train station for days, sleeping on the marble floors in line, waiting for a chance to purchase a train ticket back to Moscow. It was the end of summer, and as it turned out, another one of the questions that hadn't been resolved before I arrived, the company couldn't pay me. They gave me room and board with the parents of the children that I taught. By the end of summer, I had 26 cents left in my pocket. The Soviet countries were not yet tied to the banking system of the rest of the world, so there was no way for a family to send money to me. But I didn't give up my faith. And by the good people, and by the grace of the good people around me, I did make it back to Moscow. I did make my plane back. This launched me into a career, a 15-year-long career in humanitarian assistance. I have 2 master's degrees. I'm a CPA. I also learned a great love of water, and I now manage water utilities. And I hope that all of you have had a dream, and I hope that you have all had the courage to follow it no matter what the obstacles were. I hope that you all believe, and that you do. Thank you.
Just walking away from that.
Doing your hands.
Then we might need 2 minutes on that evaluation.
Yeah.
What an exciting speech. I thought, being from Alaska, you said you just saw it from your bedroom window like Sarah Palin and just walked across. That's all this trouble there. I know. Quite interesting. 1 minute, please, Mr. Simon. Thank you. I like the communal approach to Toastmasters. When one doesn't show up, the other one steps in. That's a very great system. Now it gives me a great pleasure to introduce speaker number 2, Marty Bell. He's speaking from the Entertainin speaking level. Love your face. I said as long as thank you. Yes.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and friends. You ever go up to somebody and say, "You have a nice face"? Better yet, have you gone up to somebody and say, "I love your face"? No. Yeah, usually if we're going to talk about somebody's face, it's something specific. Oh, I love her eyes. Oh, her lips, or his nose. Well, today we're going to do something a little bit different. Let's make this communal. I'm gonna ask everybody to turn to the person next to them. Get a real good look. Stare into their soul, if you will. And just tell them with all your heart, I love your face.
I love your face.
Yes.
Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? We could do this a little bit more often, couldn't we?
Sorry. I carried away over me.
Is that good? We see hundreds of people every day. We have hundreds of faces that pass by us, right? Or maybe we pass by hundreds of faces, each one of them unique. For instance, just this morning, did anybody recognize the girl's face at the Panera counter? Me neither. But I bet you she has a really nice and pleasant face. Maybe that's why she got hired. Because as customers come into the store, they're welcomed with a nice, pleasant look, and they can enjoy their experience here at Panera. I was inspired for today's speech with a few experiences over the last couple weeks. I travel quite a bit for work, and during my travels, I tend to stare at a lot of people's faces. I was going through the Atlanta airport last week, and for anybody that's traveled through Atlanta, it's a huge airport. You get to one of the 5 or 6 terminals, and then you have to spend about 10 to 20 minutes going on a train to go to where the luggage is. So you pick up several passengers at each of the terminals, A, B, C, and D, and it gives you the opportunity to see many, many faces. And sometimes, if you're in the right spot on that train, you can glance out the window and see faces looking into the train, staring at you. And while you're staring out of the train, it's like in the movies sometimes, where you're looking out, but because of the reflection and the light, you can see all the faces behind you, which I think is pretty cool, because I like to stare at people sometimes and tell if they're having a nice day or having a bad day. Maybe they're just a miserable person, or maybe they're happy just by their very nature. And it's really faces, I would argue, that add to the joys of our experience here on earth. If we think about it, it would be kind of boring if everybody had a similar face. If everywhere where we went, folks had a face just like ours. It's the uniqueness and richness of everybody's face here today, for example, that adds to our experience at Toastmasters. And I would argue everywhere that we go. It adds to all kinds of experiences. My wife and I, this past weekend, went to listen to some jazz. And actually, I'd recommend jazz tastings in Maitland. A little off-the-wall spot. You can get a nice glass or bottle of wine, delicious dessert, and the quartet that plays there every weekend is absolutely phenomenal. My wife and I were very fortunate when we walked in, as the band was changing, we're taking an intermission between sets. And a couple folks were getting up to leave. And so the owner placed us right in the front row. I thought, oh man, you know, this might be good, maybe not. But it turned out it was the best spot in the house, because not only did we get to listen to the music, we got to see their faces up close and personal. The guy that was playing the saxophone was literally inches away from us. And I could see the sweat, right, just dripping off his face. I thought on a couple of occasions he's actually going to spit on me or my wife. And while I can't do it, every time he'd blow the saxophone, his already thick neck would increase by 3 times. And I was imagining blood and guts just spilling all over us in jazz ecstasy. The guitarist, strumming along on his guitar, oblivious to what was going on in the audience, had his eyes closed, looking up in the air, just like Stevie Wonder, really kicking it. Jarvis on the keyboard, again with his eyes closed, fingers just flying across that keyboard. Each of them putting their heart and soul immersed into the music. And it was their faces that, to me, gave the music that much richness. I could go on about other experiences, but I would ask each and every one of us today to think about all the faces we come across in our daily lives. And maybe think again when coming across a face that we like. And maybe say, hey, you got a really nice face, sir. Let's see what happens. Maybe even on the way out. Check her out. Not in that. Not in that. Thank you.
Actually, his subject of this 1 minute please comes from the 101 book, How to Pick Up Women, sentence number 1. She has a beautiful face. Thank you. Our next speaker is Gus Davies. I just see we have missed all these titles in next to his name. No, yes, I'm sorry. He is speaking from the Special Occasions Manual, number 4, presenting an award. The topic will be Montessori Awards. I'm sorry. Gus is a advanced communicator bronze. He currently serves as a VP of Education. Welcome, Gus Davies!
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. We are gathered here this morning at the Cohen Educational Foundation. The Cohen Educational Foundation was founded by the Cohen family for single mothers. The goal of the foundation was to be able to provide a place, a childcare learning place, where mothers who had single mothers who had the opportunity to go back to work or go back to school so that their children can be cared for. The Cohen Foundation was established in 2010. They started at the storefronts. And every year, the Cohen Foundation looks for a candidate who will be the greatest person who has achieved something in the foundation so that they can present an award to that individual. The award is called the Montessori Award. The Montessori, the Montessori Award is presented to that person for distinguished accomplishment. Madame Montessori was an Italian doctor, educator, and researcher. Madame Montessori went on to do research in early childhood learning, theories, practices, and methods. And today, literally around the world, you could see a Montessori child care center or learning center because of the principles that Madame Montessori established, that it can help children from early age, maybe even from 6 weeks to 18 months. The Cohen Foundation has decided each year to present this award to the distinguished candidate. Our candidate, or the recipient of this award today, was one of the first mothers, single mothers, who dropped off or enrolled her child only 6 weeks at the Montessori Learning Center that is governed by the Cohen Educational Foundation. This mother was taking classes at a local university. She went on as a single mom to get her master's, but at the same time she decided to volunteer at the Learning Center. She came in to rock babies sometimes to do the cleaning. Later on, she was actually employed by the Cohen Foundation to be the Resource Development Officer. In 2014, she went on and raised and support. She raised $1.5 million for the foundation. She went on to purchase a land, and she purchased a land about 3 acres. And on that land, she organized and built the first learning center, moving from a storefront to 15,000 square feet, because they wanted to reach out to at least 25 children, because in the Montessori Learning Center, the children really have to be able to use their hands and to be able to play and act and do all of the things they did. She not only went on to complete the development of the center, but she has secured and is deposited funds for the foundation. She now has about in the bank funds for the next 2 years to run the center. Great accomplishment in her leadership, her initiative. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we are very pleased to invite Maria Rivera to come up to receive the award of the Montessori Award from the Cohen Foundation. Please join me in welcoming Maria Montessori as she receives this award. Thank you very much, fellow Toastmasters. Thank you.
Nobody likes me, what can I say? They're running away from me. During the early years of Kwanzaa,
know.
1 minute, I am sorry. I'm getting so into this. Toastmaster.
Keep the passion there.
Absolutely. Really, at the time. Thank you. During the early years of Kwanzaa, Karenga, an African-American professor who came up with Kwanzaa, said it was meant to be an oppositional alternative to Christmas. However, as Kwanzaa gained mainstream adherence, Karenga altered his position so that practicing Christians would not be alienated. Then starting in 1997, Kwanzaa was a celebration of family, community, and culture. Therefore, Kwanzaa was not created to give people an alternative to their own religion or religious holidays. It was in addition to. Many African Americans who celebrate Kwanzaa do so in addition to observing Christmas. Inquiring minds maybe just wanted more vacation time, so 3 times off. Just kidding. It now gives me the great pleasure to introduce our technical table, starting with our...
Oh, tabletop.
Oh, it's up, I'm so sorry, I'm getting hospital.
All right,
Tabletop.
I'll take
I
you to the show.
think-
Come on.
Here's the Toastmaster. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about up here. Welcome, members and guests. Thank you, Ernst, Mr. Toastmaster. How's everybody feeling today? We're ready for some table talks. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. I was over there. First off, amazing job on your speeches today.
Yes.
These were, it made you self-reflect. It made you think about the other people. I actually imagined a person getting an award over here. It was very good. So let's move on to our table topics. I'm going to think of a random subject that was, as you guys were speaking, I was thinking, it's December. We're winding down. My boot camp classes are at minimal right now. You can feel it in the air, right? 'Cause we're gearing it for January. And I was thinking, we had an amazing 2015, didn't we? We had major cultural events. What do you think was a major cultural event to you? We had gay marriage got legalized. One of our flags is now illegal. I'd like to hear from somebody. Oh, James, we already had James wanting to stand up. What was the most monumental event of 2015 for you? James.
Whoa, man.
Thank you for asking me that question. You hit the nail right on the head. I don't have to do any work. Talk about gay marriage. My God, that like bowled me over. I know how some of you people think, and I don't know how some of you people think. But gay marriage, for me, is like, okay, where did it come from? Whose idea is it? What are we gonna get out of this? Who's gonna have the baby? Who's gonna be the father? Who's gonna be the mother? And that was monumental to me, because I grew up in an area where my father was a preacher, my mother was a Sunday school teacher, and it's like, that was like foreign language. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Oh, thank you. That's great. In other cultural news, not only did we have many cultural events in our politics and social issues, we had a lot of movies come out this year. We had reboots, revivals, we had Mad Max, we have Star Wars coming up. What was a movie that hit home with you, Steven? Oh, God. And you also can come up with movies that are coming up this month.
Yes. Of which you're leading in you on Star Wars to be mentioned.
Yes. I
Inner door.
I lobbied it
The
up for
point
you.
of table topics, sir, is to get people to expound, not lead them to where you want them to go.
This is my show right now, okay?
I've actually had a hard time finding too many movies to go and watch this year. I've not been wanting to see too many of them of late, I guess, because I'm really just going for the adventurous ones. The last one I saw was Mockingjay Part 2, which was interesting in that I had read the books. They did a pretty good job, at least of following along where the book had gone, changing some of the specific scenery to make it more visible on the screen. But at the same time, I saw the preview for what will be Allegiant, the third part of that series, and having read those books, I am really worried about that one because they mocked up the second one really bad. But that would lead, I guess, into Star Wars, and we'll see whether it will follow along where people want it to go or not. I'm sure you will have a few opinions to share with us
Absolutely, I will.
before the end of the year. Mr. Tabletop.
All right, thank you. Touching on one of the things that you said, leaders, Toastmasters are where leaders are born and made, right? Leaders are readers. Many successful people at least read an hour a day, which means they read at least a book a month, a book a week, many 4 books a month. What was a book that touched you this year, either spiritually, professionally, in some way, shape, or form? How did it affect you? Marty.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Table Topics Master. I don't read. In the sense that I understand what these American letters mean. I don't read books. but I read magazines, articles, anything in 5 to 15-minute chunks. So I find that my array of communal reading material is always at my disposal in my office, which is the prime reading location for men, as I found. To answer the question, I rather enjoy reading Inc. magazine, which is a magazine for entrepreneurs, which has so many stories about people putting their lives on their line, really going for it, their livelihoods, their heart and soul into their ideas. And I am the furthest away from an entrepreneur that anyone could be, which is why I think I like that one so much. And they're really 5 to 15 minutes long. Thank you.
Marty, thank you for that great answer, and you said something in your answer that sparked another question. Entrepreneurs need goals. Goals can be monthly, weekly, or yearly. What's a goal that you feel proud of that you accomplished in 2015? I'm not sure what I don't see your.
I don't have one yet.
Stacey. Stacey, what's a goal that you accomplished this year? Thank you. Come on.
A goal that I accomplished this year was competing with my horse in 7 horse shows and finishing grand championship in all my divisions this year.
Well, okay.
Wow. Thank you very much. I think my work here is done. I'd like to put it back to Ernst, our Toastmaster of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rich, for coming up with such fantastic topics.
You're welcome.
In a couple of minutes' time. That is was actually fantastic. Talking about books, a great book you may want to read is called Self-Management by the 1 Minute Manager. I'm sure you have 1 minute manager, 1 minute this, 1 minute that. It's a real great book, Self-Management. It helps you to get into the new year. I said that already. I was interrupted, said table topic comes next. So I did explain about the kwanzaa, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so the next person in line is our general evaluator, Stephen Morgan. Thank you, Stephen. That's what happens when you get older. You tend to forget stuff, right, James?
We still love your face, sir.
What?
And now to get the feedback for our prepared speeches, beginning first with the evaluation of Krystal's Icebreaker, please welcome James Harris.
Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and Krystal Strickland. Icebreaker. I love icebreakers. There's so much growth there. In fact, this morning, me and Bailey fought over who we're going to evaluate. And I was in the driver's seat, so I won. I love his face. I love his face more, though. Icebreakers. Welcome to a great journey of improvement, advancement, and communal growth. You're very well dressed, and the requirement for an icebreaker is basically just to speak for 4 to 6 minutes. And you did a great job of that. But not only did you do a great job, you were organized. You gave us a great experience. We kind of journeyed with you. And your subject was very good. Your subject was she believed she could, so she did. So you're very bold, you can tell, from going to Russia and living there and learning the language. Russia is a pretty tough place, I think, for anybody to go to. I wouldn't want to go there unless I really knew the language. So I congratulate you. You did a good job. You had great examples. And your opening was very good, too. You found your initials in some advertisements. That's interesting. And use it as an opening. You're a very creative speaker already. But listen, don't give up. Don't quit. Because there is room for some fantastic growth. Although you're already a good speaker, you've already spoke, you've already taught, apparently, taught schools or whatever. But there's some areas there. For example, your opening was good, but you have our notes. Get away from notes. And that's what I learned here in this club here. This is the first club where I actually began to speak and use no notes. Now I've given like hundreds of speeches. Notes become a crutch. I actually threw them away. So you have maybe a few too many notes. And one other comment is ignore the distractions up front. There were some distractions here with the lecture, whether you want to use it or not. You said a few words, just forget that. Forget the Toastmaster. Whatever you plan to do for your speech, you go right into it. Ignore everything else. Thanks for sharing with us. Thanks for sharing the Icebreaker. It's wonderful seeing new Toastmasters come in and tackle the challenge, and then watch them grow from the very beginning. It's no experience like watching a new Toastmaster come in with goals and objectives and see them blossom, you know, like a butterfly. You know, that's wonderful. Thanks.
To evaluate Martin's speech, please welcome Sam Bailey.
Samuel. Thank you, Master Evaluator. Well, let's see, his face. It has the nice glasses, a little bit of the bowl shape. No, I'm kidding. That's how we're doing here. As a matter of fact, when I first received his booklet, I thought he was hitting on me. Because right here on the first thing is a little sticky note. I love your face. Master Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially Marty. Excellent speech. I love the humor, you had us all laughing, the participation, you know how awkward it was to stare into Hadi's eyes? It's just not something I traditionally do. I had to find his soul, and he had to find my non-existing soul. It was just one of those things. But this is Toastmasters. We're here to make you the best person that you could possibly be. And the thing that you should improve on, and we tend to bring to your attention in a very delicate manner with the hammer. Structure. The structure of it was a little iffy. You had the rule of 3, which was great. You used an anecdote, which was one of the things you were looking for in the speech, 2 stories. But I would like you to get a communal perspective on what a lot of comedians do. They tend to use one story with several anecdotes and several different pauses to allow humor to take place. Or just the laughter to get on out of the audience. Because you had us the most at the jazz story. I wanted to hear a lot more about how that guy was sweating out, spitting, how he was about to blow up. What was it that he said? A jazzy, glorious explosion of guts and gore? Jazz ecstasy, thank you. Very colorful word choicing, as you always have. But watch some videos on comedians, because you have the potential to be a stand-up comedian. You have that quirky sense of humor and being able to make people laugh. But you need some stories to go along with it. Look into facets of your own life, put them together, add those anecdotes, add those pauses to let people laugh, and then come up here and knock our pants off. Thank you very much.
And now, to evaluate Gus's award presentation, please welcome Marty Sack.
Master Evaluator, Toastmasters, and Gus, who has the ability to instantly give credibility to whatever he's talking about with his demeanor, his vocal intonation, and that accent. Sorry. What I wanted to say right away was that you were able to ignore some noises that were happening right at the beginning of your speech with this.
Yes.
And I noticed it, but you kept going right through it. It didn't bother you. And I found that you brought my attention right back to what you were saying, because it was more important and it was what was going on. So I appreciated your ability to stay focused that way. The goal of this speech is to convey dignity, grace, and sincerity, which are words that I would use for Gus. Did he do those things? Absolutely, 100%. Let me tell you why. Your vocal quality expressed the magnitude of the accomplishment of that person, as well as the award itself, which I really appreciated. You also have that inherent ability to convey your own honesty and personality in every speech that you give, which is very, very appreciated. Some of the things that were specifically noted for me was how clear you were in especially conveying the reasons that that person deserved that award. Where I had slight need for less information actually was at the beginning. I was a little bit confused between the Cohen Foundation, which the explanation for that foundation and its purposes went on a little bit long for me, so that I then switched gears to the actual Montessori award, the reasons for the recipient, and why they were so deserving of it. That would be the only thing that I would convey as to what I could recommend for you. Was that beginning part took me a little bit away as what we were talking about. So I was ready to hear about Montessori and the award, and I didn't really know much about the foundation, and it didn't necessarily add to the reasoning of the award or the speech. Maybe a little less on that, but overall, just your demeanor is a most wonderful thing to watch and listen to. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now we need the response from our communal back table for how we have done for the rest of the meeting here, beginning first with our timer. Macarena, how well did we keep on time here today?
Thank you. Krystal, you were supposed to be between 5 to 7. You got 5:48. Good job. Martin Bell, you were also supposed to be between 5 and 7. You got 7:02.
Oh,
It's okay.
fail.
Oh, 30
Disqualified.
Gus, man, you were supposed to be between 3 to 4. You got 4 on the dot. Wow.
Watching the clock.
That's like a Toastmaster.
A hero. James, 45 seconds. This is table topics now. Stephen, 59 seconds. Marty, 1 minute 13 seconds. Stacey, 12 seconds. Speech. Nail it. Speech evaluators. James, 3 minutes and 5 seconds. Samuel Bailey, 1 minute 55 seconds. And Marty, 2 minutes 54 seconds. That is my evaluation.
What did you hear this morning, Mike?
Let's see, Ernst, you got 4 ums, ers, whatever you want to call them. A couple of double clutches as well. Krystal, 2 so's, 1 but, and a couple of tongue clicks, about 4 of them, but you're free. Martin, clean. Gus, clean. I was listening too. I want to get you. Rich had 2 ums. James, you had 1 2 likes, and 3 double clutches. Stephen had 1 but, and the rest were clean. Marty, Stacey, and Sam. That is my report. Thank you.
Hadi, I'm sure you are having a glorious time back
Yes,
there.
magnanimous.
That was pretty good.
Timer, please take note for us on all these notes.
Honestly, it was great. So, come on, up, please. All right, so people who
I think we should start it out.
people who said the word of the day: Ernst, Martin Bell, Marty, Simon, Stephen Morgan, Jim, Sam. Did I miss anybody?
I did.
Yeah,
You did
yeah.
too? Okay, Mike. All right, Mike. Cool. So, in terms of grammar problems, Krystal also learned a great love of water. Got lost there, but otherwise you were clean. Martin Bell. Martin. Yeah, so this is actually a really common mistake.
Yeah.
They're just a miserable person. So if you don't want to say the gender of a person, or if you don't know the gender of the person, technically you're supposed to say he or she, or his or her.
That has been a general change within the language over the past few years.
It's
I'm
accepted.
getting corrected the other way a lot more these days, funny enough.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
I get it.
there is widely accepted, but it's just a matter of.
They are.
One.
So what is it, he or she?
Use
He or she.
one. That would
Or
be the
one.
ideal.
Yeah, one or two. Okay. Gus, I think this was a mistake. You said principles that it can help rather than principles that can help. And Marty loved the blood and guts spilling all over us in jazz ecstasy. That was amazing. Steven. Okay, really bad is very accepted, but it should be really badly, I think.
Really bad is very accepted.
Like it's accepted in
It'd be more
words,
better
but it should be
than
really
that.
badly.
More better.
Acceptable.
Acceptable. This is
I'll
the
correct
problem.
you from there.
It's a two-way correction.
Different Mary in here.
That's okay. I mean, I can get
You're
corrected.
stepping around the room here.
Jim, I don't know if this was a vocal mistake, but you said you've already spoke rather than you've already spoken. So you've already spoken. Sam, I'm not sure if you missed the letter here, but it should be anecdotes instead of anecdotes.
Okay.
And also it's word choice rather than word choicing.
Okay.
Lastly, Maka, you got this right and wrong. So it's between 3 and 4. That's the correct way, rather than between 3 to 4. At some point you said, between 5 and 7, which is correct, and then 3 to 4, which is wrong. That's my point.
Hadi, much appreciated. The grammarian role is supposed to be helping us improve our grammar, not just telling us the things that, that was neat. And thank you for that. As the general evaluator with other commentary on the meeting, little tidbits here. When it comes to the agenda, which will be on the Toastmaster in this case for Ernst and others when you get that chance, it would be very helpful if you take notes of the times that are listed and coordinate them with the length of the speeches so that we know when and where we're supposed to be at particular points in the meeting. Most important for the table topics master to know when to stop and when to expect to start in order to know how many topics to have. Which Rich couldn't do because he wasn't expecting to be table topics master this morning. But we are glad that you stepped in for the table topics master role. The commentary I would have is you call on two of the evaluators, which we would prefer to let them prepare. And poor Carrie's hanging out in the back. And
chair.
Otherwise, love the topics as you pulled them in, and an excellent job pulling them in off the spot, and especially making sure that, although you gave us bits and pieces, you made sure we had the most time to work with. For the evaluators in particular, direct feedback, this is the only chance you can get, so I'd like to emphasize those. James, good points, lots of encouragement up front, and then the points for suggestions for Krystal, and being the icebreaker, we certainly want a lot of encouragement. I would like to see a stronger positive after the suggestion, but that's a general comment I make, that I like to see end on the strongest positive so that it's always on an upswing, is usually the way I like to put it. Sam, that was a downer.
Oh, okay.
You had a lot of good suggestions to say, but it was being presented in a down arrow approach hand, you also end it on the downswing.
Gotcha.
Turn that around. And you're gonna say recommend comedians, be ready to have a name, or at least write it in the book for them. Marty, any suggestions there? Again, just put a stronger positive at the end is all I would say there. That covers the feedback I would have. It's been fun, and I do believe Gus is eager to take on Julia's role today.
Get the word of the day in, it's a communal effort. When the president is not here, that I'm able to feel it. Before I continue, will you make sure the schedule has gone around so you can tick or check? Your next, I will make a comment about that. While we're getting that going around, I want to call upon Phyllis. This is your second meeting, or third. Please tell us how you think, what you think about it, meaning what you feel about it.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, and I think, oops, where'd it go? Uh-oh, there's a blank check floating around somewhere.
Oh.
I think it is great.
Don't let
because-
mine
So I'm getting my application, and.
You are most welcome. We're glad that in a few weeks' time she'll be doing her Icebreaker. Let me at this time, talking about Icebreaker, invite Krystal to please come up. Another award presentation on behalf of Lake Mary Toastmasters. We're glad to welcome you and present to you your Icebreaker banner. Congratulations.
I've been sitting here for the last 45 minutes thinking, communal, Russian, perfect opportunity to talk about communal living in the Soviet Union. Howdy,
Next speech.
how did you know?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. Couple of things to take note of. First of all, I want to thank Carrie for hosting our party the other day. That was an amazing time. Thank you for the food, the drinks, and the fellowship on Saturday night. It was really, we're glad that was something that we wanted for our club. And then Friday night, some of us had the privilege to be with Ernst at the Timacoin Clubhouse. Great food, fellowship. And we saw him really put into practice Toastmasters. That was a great opportunity to be in a setting that is not our normal place to be there. This weekend, Carrie, what do you have on Thursday and Friday at Northland?
Tell us about it, Carrie.
It's the CFC Arts Christmas in Toyland concert. It's Thursday and Friday night at Northland Church at 7:30. Tickets are on sale online, they're $10. And this year it is new for them that you have to actually buy assigned seats. It's not just general seating. We've sold so far over 4,000 tickets between the two nights. So, which is really great because last year, including even tickets that we had donated and given away, we had only had 4,700. So it's going to hopefully be sold out for both nights. Friday night floor is completely sold out. All that's left is the balcony. So anyway, I hope to see you there. I have flyers if anybody wants anything.
All right, just passing it out, so we'll be closing. Just pass it out. Thank you. I'll be there Thursday night if you have any reason. If I haven't, yes.
And just remember, I don't know if you guys saw it on the Facebook page, I'm having a holiday party at my house.
When?
When?
Saturday night. It's the last minute, I just decided yesterday, so I'm a little spontaneous. So if you guys want to come to my house and have some food, drink, and dancing in my living room, you guys are more than welcome. Everybody's invited. Right. Good. I hear the excitement in the room.
For next week,
Mark is going to be there, that's what's important.
this is our lineup for next week. Sergeant of Arms Samuel Bailey, Toastmaster Mike Hughes, speakers are Dana Mitchell if he wants to talk to people instead of fish. Like I said, Goya Friggles, Stephanie should confirm. Carrie's our General Evaluator, Laurie Richards, Evaluator, Julia James, Stacey, our counter, Rich Massa, grammarian, and timer will be to meet you. So that's the lineup. Please, you'll get an email later today. Go ahead and confirm on Easy Speak. I only know of 2 people right now not on Easy Speak. Anybody else? I know Krystal and Phyllis. We need to get them in. All right. You may have received your Toastmaster magazine. Please make sure it's part of educational for joining the club. You paid for it. Take some time to read it, 15 minutes increment.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes. That brings us to the end of our meeting. We're adjourned to next week.